Hey everybody, Steve Vigil here, and I am so glad that you're joining me again. I hope you've been following a lot of our videos, been trying to give you some great education about real estate investing, becoming a real estate investor. There's so many things that you can do out there that sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming and a bit confusing, to be quite honest about it. That's why I try to give some videos of how we do things, what we do, to try and help guide you through your journeys as a real estate investor so you can have some success. As many of you know, but those of you that don't, I've been a full-time real estate investor for the past 7 years. And in that time, have flipped hundreds of homes and have built a large rental portfolio. We also do owner finance properties. We sell owner finance properties and we buy mortgage notes. And we're able to do all that through being able to raise private money to do that. And on one of the other videos, I have a whole other video series I'm doing all about private lending and passive investing. So you want to follow that as well. But, I wanted to start talking about rental properties because we've been able to build a great rental portfolio over the years. And I wanted to share how we do it and some of the things we do and the way I look at it. But keep in mind, there's a lot of ways that we can buy rental properties, and it's going to be up to you to decide the best way for you. And based on the education I give you, hopefully that will help you make those decisions. So I'm going to go to my screen share here, and we'll get going here on this education for you. So one of the things that drives me nuts out there is, people want to pay so much for rental properties, but why would you pay more for a property you want to keep as a rental property than a property you're going to flip? It just drives me nuts when I see people advertising properties as rental properties, and they think that you can buy them for so much more. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. There's a lot of factors involved. But why would you not run your numbers the same way that you're running your numbers when you're figuring out if you're going to flip the property or keep it as a rental? I run my numbers the same no matter what the exit strategy is on a deal. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't change my numbers around depending on factors that we're going to cover, over a number of videos. But I'm always going to start my evaluation the same way, running my numbers the same as if I'm running my numbers for a property I'm going to flip. Because I'm not going to change that method. There's no reason to. Then, based on the specifics of the deal, financing, all these other factors, then I can determine, can I come up on my numbers or not? But at the same time, we have to remember, we're investors. We're trying to buy good deals that we can profit off of, that we can add value to. We can get appreciation over time, and all those things that we're supposed to do as investors. But sometimes if we're paying too much for properties, then that might not work out so well. And I know this because I did all that in the beginning. I bought properties wrong all the time. And, it can cost you money out of pocket when you're doing that. So it's important to build your system and then follow your system. And that's what I'm talking about here. When I say running your numbers the same way as flipping, that's my system. And I follow it every single time. Then I see if I can vary off of it depending on specifics of the deal. One of the things that most people never think about with rental properties, or just don't know probably more than anything, is do you have a standard rent ratio that you want to hit on your rental properties? Now, the national average, I think, is like about 1%, but the reality is I see most people buy rental properties for less than 1% on the rent ratio. When I start my evaluation on my rent ratio, I start my rent ratios at 1.8%. which is huge. And most people think that that's impossible to do, but it really isn't. If you're buying properties with equity in them and you're buying them the correct way, or the way that I buy them. Like I said, there's a lot of ways you can do it, but I start my rent ratios at 1.8%. Can I move off of that number? Most of the time I can, depending on a lot of the factors that we're going to be going over the next number of weeks with these videos. So rent ratio is important. And I have a very, very simple formula for the way that I figure that. And when I was taught this formula, it was based on, when you take a property down and you're taking it down with a high interest rate, whether it's going to be hard money. As many of you know, I'm a private money guy. So I'm using private money to take all these properties down, but I'm still paying a much higher interest rate on the initial takedown. So if I can hit that 1.8 rent ratio on the takedown of that property, when I refinance it out and I bring, for example, if my interest rate is at 10%, and then I can drop my interest rate down to 5 or 6%. Well, that's going to increase my cash flow on that property. My profitability on that property just went up because of those little factors. So important to think about that and figure out what your rent ratios are based on the money that you're taking the project down with. Then when you refinance out, it's putting a bonus in your pocket. It's a great thing. And which leads me to the next sentence here is, how are you financing your deals? Financing is everything. The cost of your money will determine so much of how you're going to be able to buy that property and hold on to it. And I know a lot of people go on cash flow and talk about cash flow, but it's really about what is the profit you have at the end of the year. I don't worry about the month-to-month cash flow. I'm trying to figure, am I going to have profit at the end of the year? Because that's really, when it comes to an accounting side of it, that's what accounting is looking at. So these are some really, really important facts that you need to think about as you're going into this. Now, I'm going to go into a lot of detail on all these things and much, much more about rental properties. So I want you to stay tuned and, keep following these videos and get tuned in. So let me get off of here real quick. So that's just kind of the beginning for me getting going on buying profitable rental properties. Like I said, we built a nice rental portfolio, buying properties the exact way I'm going to be showing you and teaching you here. And so if you can go out and do that, that's fantastic. Now, depending on where you're at, what part of the country you're in, depending on your markets, these things are going to vary. We're in the Houston, Texas area, and so I can buy properties all around here like this, and I have for a number of years, and I will continue to. So I want to give you guys some great information. I want you to stay tuned in, keep following us. I also would like to give you guys to give me some feedback. If I'm giving you good information, if this is stuff that's helping you, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Give me feedback. Let your friends know. If you want to have rental properties, this is one way that's really great to do it. And if you do it this way, you will come out with good profits in the end, and you will have great growth on your rental properties. So stay tuned for more videos. But until then, you guys have a great day, and we'll be seeing you real soon. Bye.